What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another Attack on Titan review. And I got done with Volume 4 today. And Volume 4 does pick up where Volume 3 left off, but it wraps up the events going on pretty quickly. So we get the whole Eren kind of coming back to his senses, kind of understanding his will to fight. Now, I still don't fully understand how much he can control himself while in the Titan form. He was able to regenerate, the Titan was able to regenerate, and then he picked up the boulder and was leading the boulder to the hole that he was meant to plug up. But I don't know if it was really him like actively thinking like, hey, I have to go plug up this hole, or if it was basically just like this will drive, this kind of muscle control just happening, kind of like mental mind muscle control happening, if that makes any sense. Go with that. Just pure will basically is what would be leading him to do this, leading him to plug up the hole. So I don't think he was actually actively thinking in his head. I don't think he was he wasn't Eren at the time. At least I don't think he was. There wasn't anything to really kind of allude to that. But that kind of gets wrapped up fairly quickly, and then after that they are able to pull Eren out of the backside of his fused face into the Titan, whatever that's all about. I still don't really know. I still think it's kind of like a fucked up, weird way to control like a flesh Gundam, if you will. You're just kind of like fused into it. Kind of probably weird, dirty things that could happen with that, but we'll keep going on. And then there are a couple more Titans still around after that, and Eren's out of commission, of course, and they're saved by this guy Levi, who there was an entire chapter dedicated to him in the last volume, and that was the only chapter he was in, so I was wondering, what that was all about. And there's Levi right there, and doesn't he kind of look like an Invader Zim character to you? Could you not just see him like
Earth is safe?
And then the rest of this volume pretty much is just a big flashback to a training sequence for them to become part of the Survey Corps, or yeah, I believe that's what they are right now. There's a couple of different branches. I don't quite remember them all off the top of my head, but and I can see why they waited to do the flashback until now. One is because of how they end the flashback, and I'll get to that in just a second, but also because I think that really would have taken the momentum away from the series, because we jump back 5 years into the future after the original attack. So there's the original attack, and then we jump 5 years into the future, so Eren's a bit older, and then we get into the big Titan battle that's basically been happening since the end of the first volume, all the way up until volume 4 here. So I feel like if this training sequence was chronological and shoved in there, it would have taken away from the impact of this big Titan battle that's been going on. So I understand why they saved the flashback for now, and I think it makes sense, so that didn't bother me at all. It was kind of cool seeing them go through it, because I'm a sucker for training montages. I love training scenes. I love characters preparing and battling and training and getting into shape, getting into the prime condition to go out and do a mission. I've been a sucker for that all my life, ever since being a fan of the Rocky movies when I was young. Still am a big fan. I love training montages. And it wasn't so much a montage, but it did kind of give you an idea of all the different trainings that they would do, climbing the hill, and of course Eren failing on the cable connection, trying to balance himself, always falling headfirst on his face, which of course annoyed him because he just wants to kill the Titans. And I need more character from Eren. I know people say that it's coming. It's like, don't worry, Eren gets a lot better, and I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for it, guys. But right now, Eren is just a one-track mind kind of character, and I have yet to see much complexity from him. However, I understand. Hold on, just wait while you're at your keyboard. Just wait 1 second. I understand. Many people tell me that he gets much better, and so I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt for right now. But my favorite character is Mikasa, and she continues to be fantastic in this volume. I love her little interaction that she has with Eren, where they talk about her hair being a little bit too long, that it might get into the way, and then the next scene that we see her, she's cut her hair to shoulder length, and it's just kind of this sweet little, like, oh, they had this conversation, she really cares about him. And she also puts him on the spot where she's like, look, if you can't handle this, if you can't do this, there's plenty of other ways to help. Like, don't force yourself to do this. She's, she's looking after him because he obviously did save her when they were very young kids. And so she's always kind of been looking out for him since then, and I like that kind of protector role. But Eren just having this kind of, like, arrogance of, I must kill all the Titans, that he just doesn't quite, he's very rejective of, is that a word? Rejective? He's very rejective, I'm going with it, of what Mikasa was saying to him. And, understandably so. But she's really just looking out for him. And she was also saying, like, no matter what you do, I'll I'll be with you. You know, I'll do what you do. So even though she's really good, she's excelling at all the tests and all the training, and she's like number one in the class or whatever. She's like, look, if you step away and you decide you want to do something else to help humanity other than fight with the Survey Corps, I'll do that with you. You know, she's got that loyalty to him because, well, one, that he saved her, and also, you know, you could feel the kind of connection, whether you want to call it romantic or not. I guess that's what it's supposed to be. I'm not really sure. It is more of like a sibling kind of dynamic from the vibes I'm getting. So we'll see where that goes in the future. And we are also given more for all the other ancillary characters too in the training sequence, and I wrote down their names because I wasn't going to remember all of them. The main one to talk about is definitely Sasha, aka the Potato Girl, how she's eating a potato right in front of the drill instructor, and he's just like, what are you doing? And she's like, it was going to get cold, I needed to eat it now. And then he makes her run laps for like 5 days or something, I don't know. Pretty funny. She's a great character. I'm glad that she's still around. We also get the character Jean, who Aaron had a lot of arguments with, because Jean is basically there just to go through the initial training, the boot camp kind of training, and then get a more easygoing job, more on the inside of the walls. I guess kind of like a police force sort of thing, rather than the Survey Corps who actually have to go and face Titan. So he's there kind of for an easy ride, or at least seeming so at first. And I was getting Jean and this character Reiner confused because they have very similar, they're drawn very similarly. And I really apologize because I was getting them confused together, and that's one thing I think I'll say about the early art on Attack on Titan is I feel like a lot of times the characters aren't like distinguished enough like from each other. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just like how I'm reading it. Like, but I'm getting a couple characters confused together. Like, there's not enough like differentiating facial features or hair to like make me consider one character from the other. So I was getting Jean and Ryder a little confused, and it took me until the end of the volume where I went back and was like, oh, this character was not Jean when they were facing each other in like the combat section. Anyways, whatever. But the thing I do want to talk about, which there's two things that hit me the hardest in this volume that I thought were fantastic. One was how they ended this flashback, because it goes almost all the way to the end of the volume, and the one character is talking to Jean, and he's like, Jean, I really wanted to tell you something, and it's at the end of a page, right? And then you get that page turn, and without any warning whatsoever, Jean is there staring at the dead body of the guy he was talking to at boot camp, and you're just like, you're just thrown right back into the painful reality of it all. It takes you out of the fun, out of all the fun that you had watching the characters train together, out of them, you know, having their little bickering sessions back and forth, their little arguments and stuff, because that was all in the past, so all that was safe, you know? You were in a very safe, comfortable environment with that, and then with one page turn, it just flips you back into this, like, absolute brutal reality, and the one character is literally, and they pulled no punches with it too, like half his face is gone. He's not just injured, you know? He's not coming back. And then also, what I thought was kind of messed up, too, that really, really hit me was the fact, this, like, mass pile of half-chewed bodies. It's pretty brutal. I mean, I know shonen manga sometimes can get, you know, pretty edgy and whatnot, but I just didn't expect to see, like, I guess the brutality of, that just, like, they vomited up all the humans that they ate, because apparently, and this threw me for a loop, is that they don't eat humans for nourishment, I guess. Like, they don't have a digestive system like that. They basically said they don't have intestinal tracts, so once they've had their fill, they upchuck the bodies. So they are just eating humans, I guess, either on instinct, just like a primal instinct, or it's just pure carnage and rage for fun. Like, just the idea of just killing these weaker things by eating them. Now, I thought they were eating them as food, as like nourishment of some sort, but I guess not. So that kind of throws a whole new wrench into the idea of what the Titans are, because I was thinking they were some kind of like, you know, massively evolved species, you know, with just like I talked about in an earlier volume review how, you know, like chimps and humans have only like a 2% DNA difference, so what if like another creature had another, you know, higher percentage? Like, how far different would they be? So, you know, I was equating the Titans to like some sort of like more evolved being or something like that. But I guess this just shows that there's something more diabolical going on here than was initially I thought. So that means that the Titans might not be actual creatures that have either evolved or come from another planet or another dimension or something. They might have been like a science experiment gone awry, which leads into the very ending of this volume with they have Aaron and he's in a cage and he's locked up, and they're saying that like, okay, so we know about there's some secret in the basement. Gotta get to this basement shit already, alright? Okay, I know, I've been teased about the basement enough, let's get to the basement. Anyway, so he's gonna go with Levi to the basement, and I'm sure we'll get some interesting character interactions there between the two of them, because Levi seems to be very reserved as well, very good at his job, slaying Titans, and if Aaron is a Titan, or can turn into one, then yeah, there might be some conflict there. I'm sensing some coming conflict. But actually, the last thing I wanted to talk about, I got ahead of myself. When Gene remembers what this character was going to tell him. So Gene is kind of debating, you know, what he wants to do with all this, like if he's going to stay with like the Survey Corps and, you know, what he's going to do, because we saw him in the flashback earlier, he was saying, you know, he's just there for kind of like the free ride, getting through the boot camp, and then he was going to do the more comfortable inside job, and then he sees the dead body of this guy that he talked to, and so like it kind of would, you know, further confirm that, yeah, you should stay away from this kind of stuff and take something that's comfortable. But then he remembers what the guy told him, and the guy was like, look, you're not a strong person. Which, first of all, that's kind of like a crazy thing to say to someone, right, when you're training together. But he says, because you're not a strong person, you understand how weak people feel. And that way you're better at recognizing what's going on and knowing what needs to be done. And I thought that was pretty profound, because it's kind of true in a way, because if you are a weak person or more of a coward who has to make yourself become strong, you come at it from a different place than people that are naturally kind of more brave than you are. Because the people that are doing it naturally don't really understand the context of how somebody who is extremely fearful feels. So if you've been through that fearfulness and you've been through, you know, situations where you have been weak, then when you're in a situation that's more dire and you're around other people who are weak, say that you've gotten stronger from that experience, like Gene probably has here, has become stronger because of that experience. Now he's even more suited to lead people who are weak to go through it for them to become brave. Does that make sense? Because I feel like that in my own life. I feel like if you've been through something, if you've been truly scared, if you've been truly terrified, then you have a more calm sense of dealing with things moving forward. It's actually kind of a lesson that's talked about in Vagabond, which I'm also reviewing right now. So I thought that was really, really cool that they threw that in there, and it gave me a better appreciation for Jean moving forward. And watch, she'll die in the next volume. I don't know. But anyways, guys, so I really did enjoy this volume. I think the series is getting better as I move along, so I hope it keeps up that consistency, and from what I'm hearing, it definitely does. So let me know what you guys think about Volume 4, all the things that happen in it down below. Keep the spoilers to a minimum if you can, but other than that, guys, I hope you have a wonderful day. Please like this video, share it if you want to. Helps me, helps the channel, helps get it out there. Other than that, have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you in the next review.